I don't even know how to start this without sounding paranoid or crazy, but I swear on everything. What happened to me wasn't normal. It started off like any regular day. I was walking home from school, just minding my own business. Had my AirPods in, music low, just enough to keep the world at bay. It wasn't late or anything, probably around 4 p.m., bright outside, safe. Or so I thought. About halfway down my usual route, I felt this pressure, not like something physical. More like the feeling you get when someone's watching you, that weight on your shoulders. I paused, looked up, and across the street, there he was. A guy. Hoodie up, hands in his pockets, standing completely still. I mean, unnaturally still. Just staring right at me. He didn't flinch, didn't look away when I noticed him, just stood there. I thought, okay, maybe I'm overthinking this, maybe he's waiting for someone, or just spaced out. I didn't stop walking, didn't even take my AirPods out. I just picked up the pace a little. Next day, same time, same street. I see him again. Same hoodie, same spot, still not moving, just watching. I kept my head down and tried not to react, but it felt different this time. Like he was waiting on me. Not coincidentally there, intentionally there. Day 3 is when it crossed from weird to terrifying. I was about to pass the same street, already feeling nervous. I told myself if he's there again, I'm turning around and going a different way. But before I even looked up, I heard it. Javarius, you walking mad slow today. I swear my body just locked up. That voice wasn't loud, but it was clear, like he was right next to me. But when I looked across the street, yep, same dude. Still, watching. But now, he knew my name. I didn't even think. I ran. I mean, sprinted like my life depended on it. Didn't look back, didn't slow down until I was inside my house, all the doors locked. I felt crazy. I started asking myself if I had seen him before. Maybe I knew him somehow? But nah, that face, never seen it in my life. That night was the worst. I was in my room, scrolling through Instagram, trying to distract myself. My phone buzzed. New DM, no profile picture, no name, just a blank, empty account. The message said, Javarius, I'm watching you. I see everything. My entire chest tightened. I couldn't breathe for a second. I tapped on the profile, nothing. No followers, no posts. I went to block it, but then another message came through. I see you right now. Look out your window. I don't know what made me do it, but I peeked. Slowly. Carefully. There was nothing out there. Just darkness. Empty street. But I felt it. Felt eyes on me. Like someone was just out of sight, waiting. I barely slept that night. Next day, after school, I tried to shake it off. Told myself I was being dramatic. I even forced a laugh out loud to seem normal. When I got home, I froze at the door. There was a note taped to it. No envelope, no name, just one sentence. I know your window's always open. I see you inside. That broke me. I didn't know what to do. I didn't tell my mom, didn't post about it, nothing. I just went inside and sat in my room with all the lights on, curtains shut tight. My phone was on Do Not Disturb, but I still kept glancing at it, half expecting another message. That night around 2 a.m., I heard knocking. Not on the door, on my window. Soft. Slow. I sat there, frozen, heart thudding so loud I could barely hear anything else. I turned my head just a little, and I swear, I saw a shadow move, just a silhouette, human-shaped, standing still right outside. I grabbed my phone, hands shaking, and sure enough, new DM. You still think you're safe? I'm right here. I didn't respond. I didn't move. I sat there until the sun came up. Ever since that week, I can't walk home anymore. My mom thinks I'm just being dramatic, but I begged her to start picking me up. I can't even sit in my room without feeling like someone's watching. I double-check every lock, close every curtain, but it doesn't matter. Because somehow he always finds a way to let me know he's still there. He knows my name, he knows my window's open, he knows where I live. And the worst part, I don't think he's ever going to leave. I want to start by saying, yeah, I still work at this place. I still pull night shifts at this hotel. And sure, we still get our fair share of weirdos wandering in, but nothing has ever come close to what happened that night. This was back when I had just started working as a night auditor. I think it was maybe my second or third month. Still getting used to the graveyard shift, still figuring out the quirks of the building. I had just finished running the nightly financial audit, the kind of repetitive, number-heavy stuff you do when the rest of the world's asleep. I remember it was around 2:30, maybe 3 in the morning. Dead quiet. Not a single sound except the hum of the lobby lights and the occasional creak of the building settling. I was sitting at the front desk, hidden behind the tall counter, scrolling through something mindless just to keep myself awake. Then I heard the front doors slide open. We have these automatic glass doors at the entrance. They don't usually open unless someone's right there. So I stood up, half expecting to greet a late check-in or a lost traveler looking for a room. Happens all the time, nothing unusual. But what I saw wasn't a guest. There was this man standing just inside the doors. I say man, but something about him felt off immediately. He looked homeless. Old flannel shirt, long greasy gray hair that hung past his shoulders, face mostly hidden in shadow. He wasn't walking toward the desk. He wasn't saying anything. He was just standing there, staring at me. I gave him a few seconds. Maybe he was trying to get his words together. Maybe he needed help and didn't know how to ask. So I called out, asked if he was a guest or if he needed assistance. Nothing. No response. No blink. No shift in posture. Just staring. I'll be real with you. That's when the unease kicked in. Something about him didn't feel right. And when you work nights, your instincts matter. I tapped the radio and called for James, our overnight maintenance guy who also handles security stuff when needed. I told him to come to the front desk, and he radioed back that he was on his way. James was up on the 4th floor, so it took him a minute to get to the lobby. As soon as I heard the elevator descending, literally the second that ding echoed through the lobby, the guy turned and walked out. Didn't say a word. Didn't rush, just walked right out the way he came in. James finally showed up a few seconds later and asked what was going on. I told him everything about the guy, the way he stood there, the way he left the moment he heard someone else arriving. James nodded, said he'd take a walk around the property, check the back exits, the parking lot. We've got a strict no trespassing policy for non-guests, so he had to be thorough. He was gone for about 20 minutes, came back shaking his head, no sign of the guy anywhere. We decided to check the security footage, just to be safe, just to ID the guy in case he came back. And this is where the story goes from weird to something I still can't explain. We went into the back office where we've got the camera feeds saved. I pulled up the timestamp from when the doors opened. We played it back. And yeah, we saw the doors slide open exactly like I'd heard. We saw me stand up at the desk, saw myself clearly reacting to someone. But the man, he wasn't there. On the footage, the doors opened, but no one walked in. It wasn't a glitch. The video was clear. The lobby was well lit. You could see everything, every chair, every shadow, every reflection, except him. I sat there, staring at the screen, rewound it, played it again, over and over. The same result. Doors open. I react, but there is no one in that doorway. I can't lie, my stomach turned cold. I kept thinking maybe I hallucinated the whole thing, maybe I was just tired. But no, I remember that feeling, that pressure, the way he looked at me. That wasn't just in my head. I don't know what I saw that night. I don't know if it was a person. I don't know if it was something else. I've heard stories about people who died near the hotel. A couple of overdoses in the area. Rumors about past guests who checked in but never checked out. But I never gave them much thought until then. After that night, James stuck close to the lobby for the rest of my shift. We didn't say much. There wasn't anything else to say. It was like we both knew something had happened and we weren't going to make sense of it. I haven't seen that man again. At least, I don't think I have. But sometimes, when I sit at the desk and it's quiet and I'm alone, I swear, I still feel it. That stare, like someone's just beyond the camera's reach, like someone's there, even if the footage says otherwise. I used to spend a lot of weekends at my friend's house when we were teenagers. She lived way out in this rural farming area, one of those places where the silence at night feels almost too loud. No traffic noise, no city lights, just a couple of street lamps and the sound of crickets and wind through the trees. Her house was old, tucked back from the road, and kind of isolated. I never really thought much of it at the time. I was just happy to have a place to hang out, draw, and stay up late. Most nights when I stayed over, I'd crash on the couch in the living room. It was a decent setup, comfy enough, and I actually liked it. There were two old mirrors in there, kind of vintage looking, one leaning on a shelf and another mounted near the TV. I didn't really pay attention to them until one night when I started noticing something weird. It was subtle at first. I'd walk by the TV after turning it off, and out of the corner of my eye, I'd see movement. Just little shifts, dark shapes that didn't belong. I chalked it up to the screen warping or reflections from the windows. That seemed reasonable. It always happened at night, and I was usually kind of tired, so it was easy to brush off. But then something happened that I couldn't explain away so easily. It was a quiet evening. My friend had gone to her room early, and I stayed up for a bit sketching. At some point, I went to grab my sketchbook from the living room, thinking I'd bring it to her room and finish my drawing there. I walked in, bent down to pick up the book, and when I stood back up, I happened to glance into the mirror. There was a man standing behind me. He was just there, in the hallway leading into the room. He looked maybe in his 60s, completely bald, a little hunched, just watching me. My body went stiff, like it wasn't even sure how to react. I turned around quickly, heart pounding, and the hallway was empty. I spun back to the mirror. Gone. It was like he'd never been there at all. I stood there for a while, trying to rationalize it. Maybe it was a trick of the light. Maybe I'd been staring at the mirror too hard and imagined it. But deep down, I knew I hadn't. That image was clear. Too clear. It wasn't a shadow. It wasn't a blur. It was a full figure, a man just standing there like he was supposed to be part of the house. I didn't mention it to my friend that night. But after that, I started sleeping in her room. I figured it was just more comfortable, or at least that's what I told her. In reality, I didn't want to be alone in that living room again. And that house, it just started to feel off, like it was holding its breath, waiting. A few nights later, we were just sitting in the living room together, sketching and talking about nothing important, when we heard the sound of footsteps upstairs. Light, quick ones, like a child running across the hallway. We both stopped talking and looked at each other. She had two older siblings, but they were at work, both of them. She even checked her phone to confirm it. They had texted her earlier to say they'd be late. There was no one else home. We didn't go upstairs to check. I think we both silently agreed to pretend it didn't happen. That night, I stayed in her room again. We both fell asleep pretty quickly, but sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up. The room was dead silent, but something felt wrong. I opened my eyes and looked around. Everything looked normal at first, but then I noticed her posters on the wall, 4 of them, lined up near the bed. One by one, they started peeling off the wall. Not like when tape loses its grip and they flutter down. I mean slowly, controlled, as if someone was standing there carefully unsticking each one, peeling them back inch by inch. I sat up in bed, completely still, just watching them come down in silence. I didn't wake her up. I didn't say anything. I don't know why. I think I was too scared to even move. By morning, the posters were on the floor in a neat little pile. She didn't seem freaked out. She just looked at them and said, "I need to get better tape for these." Like it was no big deal. I wanted to tell her what I saw, but again, I held back. We just didn't talk about weird things in that house, not until after she moved. They had to leave the house eventually because her family couldn't afford to stay there anymore. It was a tough time for them, and I didn't want to add any more stress, so I stayed quiet. But one day, not long after they moved out, I finally brought it up. I said, "Hey, you know your old house was haunted, right?" She looked at me, kind of hesitated, then said, "Yeah, I knew. I just didn't want to scare you away from hanging out with me." Then she told me something that made my skin crawl. She said a man and his granddaughter had lived in that house before her family moved in. He killed her, then took his own life. She didn't want to bring it up because she figured I'd never come over again if I knew. And then she pulled out an old folded piece of paper, a newspaper clipping. There was a photo attached. It was him. The man I saw in the mirror, same face, same eyes, same dead stare. She said she found the article in a local paper years ago and had kept it hidden. I don't know what shook me more, the fact that she'd seen it too and said nothing, or the confirmation that I hadn't imagined it. I hadn't dreamed that man up. To this day, I have no idea where that article is now. I don't know if she still has it, and I don't live anywhere near that area anymore. I couldn't even tell you the town name if I tried. It's been close to 10 years. But I swear to you, what I saw in that mirror was real. And if that house is still standing, I wouldn't walk through its front door again for anything.